I'd like to call the meeting to order. Sorry we're a little long in executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tokenauer?
Here.
Mr. Harshman?
Here.
Mr. Lake?
Here.
Mr. Mortray?
Here.
Mr. Martucci?
Here.
Mr. Bonjel?
Here.
Mr. Renzi? Mrs. Saxton?
Here.
Mr. Manzel?
Here. If we could all stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance, please. Motion for the minutes of the previous meeting. A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the treasurer's report.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the payment of the general and federal fund bills.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the payment of the cafeteria fund bills.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move into a presentation from the wrestling club. Mr. Joe Saylor and Jigs Hatfield representing the wrestling club on the update on the building. Yeah. You're not under a limit of...
Board members, thank you for having us again tonight. Dr. Riley, Tim, Miss Vicki. We got our prints. If you just want to come down, take a quick look at them. Everything's come together. I mean, 5 months ago, we said we needed a little luck, a couple miracles. We got them all. So the next phase, maybe we'll get a little more luck. In 5-6 months, we'll put these kids in a new room. But they're here. We paid 15 grand for them. You might as well take a look at them. It's up to you.
Yeah, we can take a look.
Take a look at them real quick. If you have any quick questions, we'll answer them for you.
Thank you guys very much. Anything else? Yep. Just to let the public know, those are very impressive, and we thank you guys very much. And if there's anything else you guys need, just let us know. Thank you. Next, we're moving into a presentation from Alexandra Huffman for Student Council Update.
Hello, I'm Alexandra Huffman, and I am the CAHS Student Council President. Well, I won't be next year because I'm graduating, but I'd like to share with you the accomplishments and activities that Student Council provided to the high school this year. Starting off with our fall activities, we had back-to-school decorations and a photo booth for the first day of school, which I think a lot of students enjoyed. They got to capture their moments back to school for the first day. We had our homecoming week, which we did t-shirt sales, the homecoming pep rally, which I think was a huge success, one of our more normal ones considering the last couple of years. The homecoming bonfire with one free hot dog for each student provided by Student Council. The Spirit Week, which included dress-up days, a hallway decorating contest, and chain link sales for community ministries, which raised a total of $350. That was by our student body. Our first ever homecoming dance, which was a huge success. We had so many students come out, and I think everyone had a great time. We collected baby dolls to donate to the Maribel Baby Doll Project for nursing home patients with dementia. During the winter, we had our Christmas Spirit Week. We had dress-up days and provided all staff members with a Christmas gift of appreciation. Sponsored, organized, and worked the blood drive the day before Christmas break. Our winter sports week included the winter sports, the Snow Princess, Mr. Irresistible, pep rally, and spirit dress-up days. We also purchased the flowers and crowns that are for homecoming and the snow court. Our officers appeared on the Heart to Hope telethon to talk about some of our accomplishments and activities. During the spring, we hosted the first ever Talented Falcons Talent Show, which raised over $400 for Connellsville Community Ministries. A lot of students came out, maybe a lot that didn't showcase their talents throughout the school, so it was a very nice event. Our spring sports pep rally honoring not only student athletes, but student accomplishments within the school, from the CACTC, JROTC, Gifted, our chorus, marching band, drumline, and indoor color guard students. We also raised $431 through the Pi Falcon fundraiser for the McPoyle family. Our Powder Puff game, raising $1,334.50 for Richard Watson, the Connellsville van driver who was injured in an accident. And finally, our student council officers attended the student forum meeting each month with other school districts in our area. Student forum raised money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Our officers also attended the student forum banquet in March, where we were awarded the Jefferson Award in recognition of outstanding leadership in public service. I'd also like to mention our other officers, who would be our Vice President, Kira Callahan, our Secretary, Wes Mancuso, our Treasurer, Katie Kessler, and our Media Tech Advisor, Taylor Triggs. We thank you for the support within our school year, but I would also like to give a huge thank you to Mrs. Brewski. When COVID hit, many of the clubs I was involved in withered to nothing along with everything else. Mrs. Brewski put her all into Student Council Advisor, and I and many others cannot thank her enough. Out of all the clubs I am in, which is many, she reached out to me and others not only inside of school, but outside. I feel she wasn't just there to fill the Student Council Advisor role. She went above and beyond what any advisor has done. I would consider Ms. Brewski my friend. Her room was an open space to talk, express yourself, and just breathe. Her dedication was always there, along with the thought, time, and energy. She communicated with students, which is rare in most clubs. She made sure when we did something, it happened. I couldn't imagine anyone else doing such an outstanding job in helping make my last year one I will never forget. Her transition to the high school opened many doors for students like myself to become more involved, along with help our student body and community. I will miss her dearly as I take my next steps, but know she has great plans to help our school continue to grow into something students and bystanders will call amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a presentation from Staff Sergeant Matthew Moriarty and First Sergeant Drake, U.S. Army Representatives.
Thank you for giving us a few minutes. We're here today to actually present a award, really, just a thank you to, of course, the Connellsville High School and the staff for giving us the time to come in and meet with them and talk with students, and then the support to help each other out. We understand that time is limited with what you all have, and we appreciate all that you've done for us. I'm going to give you this. Thank you very much.
President Manzella. I'd also like to thank the gentlemen and thank them for their service, but they were also here this morning at approximately 10 a.m. So they've been around our campus since 10 a.m. this morning and very much appreciated for their presence and for their ability to meet and interact with the students. Just their visibility helps in that recruitment effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a presentation from Cherie Rounson, Business Manager.
Welcome to the 23-24 proposed final budget presentation. So this is not the final budget. This is to adhere to compliance to the Act 1 timeline. The proposed final budget has to be passed by May 31st. The proposed budget and all related documents will be on the website and available for public inspection at the administration building until June 28th with the adoption of the final budget. We're still working on staffing. All salaries have been rolled over based on actual agreements for the groups that have contracts, with the exception of Act 93, CAEA, Security and Technology. We will have the teachers' bid meeting actually tomorrow, May 25th. And after this, we will adjust staffing to the proper budget codes based on the bid and evaluate all open positions and budget for any open positions we'll be hiring for. Since the budget work session, several minor changes were made to various areas, adjusting the budget about $50,000 from my budget work session that we had 2 weeks ago. Some of these were that we received some actual figures for insurances, that would be liability, vehicle, school board, legal, and workers' compensation. And we just adjusted a few other staffing positions based on retirements. So we will continue to go through the budget line by line over the next month and look for variances and any potential savings. State revenues are projected based on the history with a slight increase, not the full increase of the governor's proposal. So other items in the budget, we had increases in our health insurance, so medical insurance. We have through ACTIC an increase for next year of 14%, and dental and vision insurance of 3%. One item is the PSERS rate, which is a mandated cost. That is a decrease for next year from 35.26% to 34% of salaries. This is the first decrease that has been since 2008-2009. However, it is projected to slightly increase in future years. In the budget, there's a contingency fund of $500,000 because we have a lot of unexpected possible costs. There's possible increases due to, one union contract and 3 other contract or agreements that need to be finished, and then also we have some ESSER costs and other grant-related costs that may not be specifically budgeted elsewhere in the budget. And then we also have a $500,000 transfer to capital projects budgeted in this budget. So this is a breakdown comparing the 22-23 budget with the 23-24 proposed budget. The decrease in revenues is $2.7 million and is primarily the result of some ESSER and other COVID funding being finalized this year, and next year basically being the final year to spend and receive these funds. With the end date of September of 2024 being the final date that these funds can be spent, there may be a small amount left that we will have included in the 24-25 budget. The increase in expenditures is just under 3% at 2.88. With the high inflation and cost of supplies and utilities, they've greatly risen. However, this is a small percentage of the total budget. Over 60% of the budget is salaries and benefits, and these rates are bound by contracts. We have an increase in cost with a decrease in revenue, which creates a negative balance. So when we're speaking revenues, we have a revenue, right now our revenue budget of $82,097,534. For this revenue portion of the budget, this shows you that 67% of the revenue is state revenue, 8% is from the federal government, and 25% is our local share. Of this local share, that's primarily made up of real estate taxes and earned income taxes. Connsville relies heavily on state revenue for our budget. There's a correlation between state revenue and our salaries and benefits, our personnel costs. We have 67% being the state revenue. We have 61% in personnel cost. So this slide shows the maximum allowable to increase taxes. So the adjusted index for Connellsville is 5.9. When you calculate this out, the maximum you're allowed to increase taxes is 0.8406 mils. So this would change the millage rate from 14.2481 to 15.0887. And this, if you were to choose this amount of millage increase, this would generate, I'm sorry you can't see that red on the bottom, but it's just over $800,000 would be if you collected at 90% collection rate, and that's our average collection rate is 90%. So this is a slide that shows the effects of a property if you were to increase these taxes. So the median household is assessed at $60,000 in our school district. That taxpayer would pay an additional $50.44 for the year. If you equate that out over the year, it'd be $4.20 per month or 97 cents per week. So just to give another comparison, a $100,000 assessed home would pay an additional $84.06. If you equate that out to spreading it over the year, it's $7 a month or $162 per week of additional taxes. So one other item in taxes is the property tax relief money that we receive. That's revenue from the gambling revenue that the state distributes out to school districts. We will receive in 23-24 $1,844,484, and we have 9,191 taxpayers that are approved for homestead. So they would receive approximately $201 in a reduction of taxes. This is similar to the amount in 22-23. However, in 22-23, it was a large increase from 21-22 due to a large additional sum of that revenue. So this chart is a 10-year average of the millage rates for all of the Fayette County schools. It looks pink on my page, but on purple on the slide. So the purple highlighted shows you the school districts that have, or when school districts have increased taxes. You can see we have not raised taxes since the 15-16 school year, while other school districts have continued to increase taxes. If you look at those numbers highlighted, showing that we've only raised them 2 times in the past 10 years, while Albert Gallatin raised them 3, Brownsville 5, Fraser 8, Laurel Highlands 5, and Uniontown 3. The last time they were raised for Connellsville was when the fund balance had been declining and the district had a very low fund balance. You need to remember that this amount is the maximum you can raise taxes, and you can't wait until the fund balance is gone to increase taxes. If we do increase, if you were to increase taxes, the maximum allowable, we would still be far below all of those other school districts in Fayette County. So since we're talking about revenue, I wanted to inform you a little bit more about the basic ed formula. So I attended a webinar last week in which they gave a great detail of the basic education subsidy and all the factors that go into the new basic ed formula. So there's 4 parts that make up this basic ed formula. And these numbers are from the 22-23 year, since we do not know what the state's budget is for 23-24 yet. So the basic education base, which is just over $5.6 million. And then there is the basic education funding formula, which is the new piece. This is just over $1.4 million. And then there's the level up supplement, and that amount is $225 million. We do receive a portion of this, which is $878,678. So this amount is only distributed to 101 school districts that qualify, the lower income school districts. So in Fayette County, every school district receives a portion of these funds except for Fraser. And the final part of the funding is the Social Security reimbursement. So this is a calculation based on what we paid as the employer's share of Social Security, and then we received approximately 63% of that back in this funding. So this new basic education funding formula portion of the subsidy was added in 2015-16. Many components make up this formula. So part of those, it's a 3-year average daily membership. You have poverty rates, English language learner weights, charter school weights, sparsity size weight, median household income index, and local effort capacity index. In 2020-21, we lost $133,966 in subsidy calculation, and the primary reason for that loss is due to the fact that the district dropped off the concentrated poverty weight formula. And you'll see there's 3 parts of that poverty weight formula. I'll show that in a future slide. In 21-22, we fell below the state average in local effort capacity index. The local effort capacity index is comprised of 2 components. There's the local tax effort, which is the ability to generate local resources, and a local tax capacity. You need to either have growth in your community to generate more tax revenue, or you need to increase taxes to the tax rate to generate more revenue. The state median for this amount is 1.06, and Connellsville's is 0.83. So regarding the poverty rates, this just tells you the calculation. So the poverty rates for this calculation, they used to use the free and reduced lunch. They are no longer using the free and reduced lunch data for these calculations. They look at the federal census data for all 3 poverty rates. This is due to the participation in the community eligibility program for many school districts, in which Connellsville does qualify for that. This survey also uses a 5-year average of those rates, of that data. So this is a picture showing all the components together on making up this formula. So you have the calculation at the top where you get to a weighted district average daily membership, and then there's the calculation at the bottom that takes that, adds in the sparsity size adjustment, which we actually do not receive any of that, and then it takes it times the median household income index and the local effort capacity index. And that ultimately gets to the calculated rate that, that goes into the calculation for that part of the basic ed formula. This graph shows the comparison of the basic ed, or the basic ed formula versus basic ed funding versus the basic ed funding formula. So all the new money that the state is proposing for basic ed becomes part of the new formula. And this shows that where the blue lines, that is the old base, and some call it the hold harmless rate. So that is the base amount, and then any new funding that the state applies to basic ed goes into the new funding formula. So this shows the basic education funding formula with the rapid increase that has taken place recently with, you can see where there's the base formula, and then the base, and then there's the formula, and then the third column over is the change. So that's the change in the additions that have been approved over the years. And you can see in red, the governor is proposing $567 million additional funding into the basic ed formula. However, we don't know what will actually pass, and we won't know that probably until late June, or sometimes it goes into July. So this is a picture of the final part of the formula. This part of the calculation is the part I wanted to point out to you. It takes the total student-weighted average daily membership, and it multiplies the median household income index and the local effort capacity index. These two numbers are the final part of the calculation and can vary from year to year based on where we fit in the state average. So if the average is 1, if you are in line with the state, you are at 1. If you are higher than 1, you receive more money. Lower than 1, you receive less money. So this is just a little picture to kind of show that. So the index can either raise or lower your multiplier, whether it's above 1, below 1. You can either have both components higher than 1, both components lower than 1. You can have a mix of 1 higher and 1 lower. And so the median household income index, it uses the 2020 Federal American Community Survey of a 5-year average. There's 208 school districts that have a median household income index multiplier less than 1. Fortunately, Connellsville is higher than 1 for that calculation, but the local effort capacity index that uses the 2020 market value data and the 2019 personal income data, and there's 204 districts that have the local effort capacity multiplier less than 1, and we are one of those. So this graph shows where all of the schools in our intermediate unit. So our intermediate unit, for those who are in the audience that don't know, that is, we are part of an intermediate unit, and that encompasses the school districts in Fayette, Greene, and Washington counties. So this shows where we fall in with the state median household income index. So the red bar is the state median. And I know the schools are kind of low on the screen there, but Connellsville is, our median in household income is $52,366. And you can see the median is $67,587. So being below the index puts this, the calculation for that is 1.2908 for the 23-24 school year. So this helps the district in part of the formula to receive more funds. If you look at other districts, you will see, so I don't know if you can see, but on the Connellsville is about 7 over from the bottom. Uniontown, Laurel Highlands, and Brownsville all have a median household income less than Connellsville. However, these districts have increased taxes more times than Connellsville has in the years. So just wanted to show a comparison to their median household income, and they do raise taxes. For the local effort capacity index, you either need to have growth in your community to generate tax revenue, or you need to increase the tax rate to generate more revenue. We don't have growth, so therefore the only way to help this number is to increase taxes. So our local effort capacity index is 0.83. This number being below 1 has a negative impact to our calculation of our subsidy. And this is a little graph that shows the history of the subsidy calculation for Connellsville. I just wanted to point out a couple points on this. So in the column that is the total student weighted average daily membership, it's this column here. You can see that these are the years on the left. So you can see that we have dropped by almost half, from 10,029 down to 5,402. And then the second to last column, which is this column over here, and there's a lot of information on this, but I wanted to point out that this shows the multiplier that's for the average daily membership. It shows an increase because the amount that the state has put in has increased. So this is an amount that you receive per student. So per every one average daily membership, so per one student, can't see that bottom line up there, but it's $757.36 with the proposed budget of $23.24. So that's that part of that calculation. And then this shows a history showing the median household income index and the local effort capacity index. It shows them together. So you have both of those and they average out. So the net impact that we have, if you look at the 22-23, what you can see in 21-22 where we drop below from 1.01 down to 0.87. This year we're at 0.86, and the proposal for next year we're going to be at 0.83. So this is showing that we've dropped below the state average when it comes to local effort capacity. Obviously our net impact is still 1.07. However, the higher that number is, the more revenue you get from basic ed. And then the final slide I have on the district basic ed funding share. This graph shows the steady decline in the district's share of basic ed. I know this is a lot to take in regarding this formula, and this is only one piece of our budget, but it's an important piece. We know that we have had a declining enrollment, but most of the state has. We are about average with the state as far as declining enrollment goes. We can only control so much. I just wanted you to be informed that every year that you don't increase taxes, that it has not only an effect on our local revenue, but it has an effect on our basic ed formula. So no decision is being made tonight regarding the tax millage. That will take place at the June board meeting. I just wanted to put this out here, and I wanted to make sure you were informed so that you can make an informed decision next month regarding the tax millage. So now I'll move on to the expenditure side of the budget, and this is the same graph that I provided for the revenues. So of our total expenditures of $85,360,209, 61% of that budget is tied up in personnel. So those would be your salaries and benefits at over $52 million. We have purchase services, which include transportation, tuition, charter schools, and that makes up about approximately 24% of the budget. And then supplies and equipment, it's just 4% of the budget. And then our debt payments is just over $8 million, which is 10% of our budget. So we have many mandated costs that happen in our budget, PSERS being one of those. So the PSERS employer share, while we are, as I said earlier, it's going to 34% from our 35.26 this year. You can see that based on their projections, it is projected to increase and steadily increase after this year. So just to give you a number, the amount of the PSERS employer cost, so this is just a portion of our benefits, is approximately $10.4 million in our budget. And that is a cost that we can't control unless you have less salaries. The less salaries, the less PSERS, but you know, obviously we have to have salaries. So special education is another mandated cost. So these costs continue to increase steadily. The amount is estimated to be just over $15 million of our budget for 23-24. One component in that change from this year to next year is the fact that the tracking of cyber schools is being tracked, separating out regular and special ed. In previous years, all of those tuition costs were charged under our regular ed budget, and we are separating those out for next year and for the current year. So those costs are increasing. So of that $1.6 million increase, $1.2 million of it is due to those change, the change in our coding and change of our recording for those cyber education bills. And in our regular education budget, that decrease was also would show in that budget. Since we're talking about cyber charter tuition, this chart shows the steady increase in outside cyber. We had a decrease in this number when we started our own cyber in-house. But of course, some may be due to COVID and other, I'm not sure if there's any other reasons, but that amount has continued to increase. And so the orange line is the student enrollment in the outside cyber, and then the blue line is the cost of the cyber education. This amount in our budget is approximately $3 million. So I wanted to touch, just because we do have to also approve the career and technical budget because they are a separate entity. So this has, though, a direct effect on the district budget. The CTC's budget is for 22-23 was $4,599,100. The budget for next year is $4,659,248. It's a difference of $60,000. The CTC does receive state revenue and Carl Perkins federal revenue, as well as other small grants and local collections. Some of those local collections come from their culinary arts lunch program and their cosmetology. However, the school district has to fund the tuition cost for the remainder of any cost that incurred by the CTC. So this tuition cost is budgeted at $3,013,243. So this you'll see is the proposed budget for the CTC on the agenda tonight. So now back to a financial projection for the school district. So to finalize this presentation, this is a summary of where we are and where we may be if changes aren't made. We may have had a total fund balance of $19 million with the audit of the 21-22 school year. But if you look at that year and we had not received the $12 million of COVID money, we would have been $3.8 million to the negative in the 21-22 school year. We are showing that we will again add to that fund balance due to COVID money again this year. However, without those funds, we would have had a negative budget of $5.2 million this year. Basically, the COVID money has prolonged the deficit that the Connersville School District has had for several years. As seen in these projections, by the end of the 25-26 school year, their fund balance will be gone. It's negative like $2.2 million. The administrative staff tries to look at savings every year and recommends these savings to the school board. There are several mandated costs and contractual costs that cannot be adjusted unless we do cut services. We need to work together as a board and school administration to figure out what changes can be done to make sure that the fund balance is not depleted in 3 years. I am proposing the tax millage to increase and help to balance the budget of 23-24. However, raising taxes is only one piece to this puzzle. We also need to look at both how to increase revenue and decrease spending. I do want to thank you for your time, ask that you approve the proposed budget tonight, and we will continue to make adjustments and look at the budget over the next month before the final budget would need to be approved on June 28th. Thank you.
Next, we'll move to public comment for agenda items. Sonny Bentley, misinformation. Just remind everybody of 3 minutes.
Thank you. I was watching on Monday from home, and to be perfectly honest, I was shocked at the hostility displayed from the director's rebuttals. So I just want to make a clarification as to what happened in that situation there. Cecilia Driscoll was addressing her concerns about the PASS program being SEL. Firstly, Ms. Driscoll was only stating that some board directors admitted to not doing their due diligence to the taxpayers before voting the software program that ultimately will cost our district $3 million, which we don't have. You just saw. So, what Mrs. Driscoll was trying to get across was, when a proposal is brought to you in front of the board, it is the director's due diligence to the taxpayers to do some investigation, to understand what that proposal is, what the pros and cons are. Is this something that is going to be good for the students of our district or for the district in general? To pass a vote
2 minutes.
on a bill of that significance without doing due diligence is very unfair to the taxpayers. So I just basically wanted to say that there was no ill intent to Mrs. Coons, but the hostility that was directed at Mrs. Driscoll was totally uncalled for. The only defense that was brought up was for the directors who spoke. There was not one single word in the defense of the actual program. Not one single director up there defended that program. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have for agenda items. Moving on to athletics, Mr. Renzi.
Ms. Mansell. Request approval of Jason Allen as varsity assistant volleyball coach for the 23-24 school year, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to permit a West Virginia Wesleyan student to complete field experience hires with the CAHS Athletic Department in May and June of 2023, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for the CASD Athletic Department in conjunction with the Connellsville City Recreation Board to run summer tennis and volleyball camps at CAHS this summer, to be led by CAHS coaches and athletes as attached, and I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Sangston?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Evans?
That's all, thank you.
Okay, that's all we have.
Mr. Evans, could we just wish the best of luck to our shot putter, and his name escapes me right now, that's going to state. Nathan Reese, we want to wish Nathan Reese on behalf of the athletic committee and on full board, the best of luck at the state competition in Shippensburg. Leave
12:30 on Friday.
Leave 12:30 on Friday. Good luck. Competing at 12:30 on Friday. Awesome. When do you leave?
Tomorrow.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bradley. That's all I have, Mr. Manzel.
Thank you, Mr. Renz. Moving to buildings and grounds, Mr. Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval of the Ecken Law Company 3-year subscription program for the telescopic bleacher inspections of the senior high school and middle school at an annual cost of $2,662, $1,837 for the senior high, and $825 for CAMS, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following event and building use request, and that's items 1 through 5, and I'd like to spread on the minutes, and I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request the conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following summer employment for 2023 at an hourly rate of $12.50. Mallory Orndorff, Tucker Wilson, Carter Wilson, Sophie Detweiler, Ella Detweiler, Charles Martin, and Nicholas Rosenstiel. And I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request a conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following addition to the custodial substitute list for the 2022-2023 school year: Anthony Martucci and Robert Anthony. And I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to solicit bids for the senior high school pool repair to be paid from the buildings and grounds repairs and maintenance budget. And I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Kokenar, you have anything to add? Mr. Martucci?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kirsch?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have tonight, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lake. Moving to Carnegie Free Library, Mr. Mongeau.
We have nothing on the agenda for this month. Mr. Marcray, do you have anything? Mrs. Sangston?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mongeau. Moving to Collinsville Area Career and Technical Center, Mr. Kokenar.
Thank you, Mr. Panza. 13A, Health Occupation is requesting to hold a junior medical summer boot camp. The day camp will be offered at 2 current middle school students at 7th and 8th grades throughout the Collinsville area, up to a maximum of 20 students. The camp is scheduled for June 5th through the 9th, 2023, and will run from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The camp will include career exploration, hands-on activities, and demonstrations related to the healthcare industry, a potential guest speaker, snacks, t-shirts for all participants. The WIB will be covering costs for supplies, CPR, first aid certification, snacks, t-shirts, total cost covered from the WIB. And I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
13B, request permission for the CTC to host a car cruise on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023, from noon to 3 p.m. on the grounds of the CTC. This will be a school-wide fundraiser event. Request permission for Mrs. Dahl, Workforce Development Coordinator, to solicit sponsorship from local businesses, sponsor the CTC car cruise on September 23, 2023. In return for sponsorship, business names will appear on flyers, advertisements, and posters, and will support this event. There is no cost to the district for this event. All proceeds from this event go to Skills USA, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Panza. Mr. Lake?
Yes, I do have something to say. I don't want to call it misinformation. I'm going to talk about lies, so we know the difference. We met. We had a recommendation for financial reasons as far as the Career Center and doing away with academics. Our president of the board, Mr. Panzella, wouldn't put up any conversation before every board member met with every person involved in the situation. There was no decision. People put out that there was a decision made that we were moving the academics. The board members never voted on it. The board members didn't have a decision one way or another. Some of us did both ways. But I want to make it sure that whoever told everybody that the decision to close or even to take the academics out, and my name was brought up specifically, is totally a lie. Not only that, let me give you a little history. Election day, I went to the mountains, Melcroft, the utility shed, where they voted, and I was greeted by a person sitting at a table. And when I got out of my truck, I just went up to see how many voted and what was going on, and he started asking me questions. First, he asked me what party affiliation I was. Well, he had two petitions there and another paper he had sitting there. And what party affiliation decided petition. When I get done, you can ask me a question. How about when I get done, you ask me a question? How about that? And he asked me what party affiliation I was. And I didn't know what that had to do with signing a petition. And I said, what is the petition for? He said it's to get rid of the current school board members that we don't like. And I said, you want me to sign a petition to get rid of myself? And I'm glad there was witnesses there, and I can call every one of them to verify what was said. And I said, do you want me to sign a petition to get rid of myself? And he said, well, if you're part of the problem, who are you? I said, my name's Kevin Lake. I've been on the board for 31 and a half years. And he said, well, I guess you're part of the problem. He said, you're the one that wants to close the Career Center. I said, that is misinformation. I was polite to him. I didn't say that was an outright lie, which it was, because I was never in favor of it. But I entertained him, and he said, and not only that, you are bringing CRT. You're the one bringing the CRT into this school building. And the CRT, I had no idea what he was talking about. Till Monday night, we got to hear about PASS. And it was said that she was treated very poorly. She stood up here and said that nothing was researched, no board member researched it, nobody did anything. And we found out there was a bunch of teachers on the committee to do this. You know, and it was brought up about the emotional and social and economic. I'm going to tell you something. If we have any teacher in this school system from K to 12 that aren't involved in these children, and I know they are, emotionally, socially, or economically, because when I say economically, most of them take money out of their own pockets and put it into classrooms, especially in elementary schools, to do for these kids. And if a child comes with bruises all over their body, that's the social or emotional impact that they have on a person. And that's the teacher's right and position to get involved with that. So as far as CRT, I don't think that involves that. But not only that, I had a young girl that I knew from the Career Center come out to the polls, took my card, wouldn't take my card. The other girl that was with her took my card. When she come out of the polling place, she was 18 years old, she stood in front of me and blew her nose on my card. She said, for closing the Career Center, I wouldn't do anything for you.
This is a point of order. Reserve our comments not in mentioning anything about polls or elections, but just comments that you talked about with specific constituents. just as a point of order.
I didn't hear what he said. What did he say?
Just a reminder, any comment should be geared towards just conversations that you have with constituents, not mentioning anything with respect to a polling place or polling location.
I don't think I didn't mention Melcombe, you're right. But that's where he had petitions in all three places. And the blame was put on me specifically. And it had to be told that by a board member out of executive session or an administrator out of executive session. So I just wanted to clear up that was not the truth. Any part of that was not the truth. And I don't want to call it misinformation because it wasn't. It was an outright lie on me. That's why I'm speaking to it. And the ironic thing of it is, in 1991, I was elected to this board only on the Republican side. Everybody else was running on the Democrat and Republican vote. I was on the Republican side and got elected in 1991. It's ironic that I'll be voted out only on the Democratic side in 2023, but as Mr. Harshman said, the voters have voted, and that's what they wanted. So that's fine with me. I've been on here long enough, but if anybody wants to check my record, I've been here for the students and only for the students. And I think I did a pretty good job in 2020. That's all I have to say. Thanks, man.
Mrs. Sampson,
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Jana. That's all we have, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kokenar. Moving to curriculum, Mr. Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Item 14A, 2023 Environmental Educational Grant. Request approval to accept the Environmental Educational Grant in the amount of $4,370 for the purpose of implementing the Water Watchers After School Club at Springfield Clifford M. Pritz Elementary School for 4th and 5th grade students for the 2023-2024 school year, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14B, MOU Pre-K Counts, Rock Ridge Road. Request approval of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Private Industry Council, PIC, of Westmoreland Fayette Incorporated and the Collinsville Area School District to operate its Pre-K Counts and Head Start program at 730 Rock Ridge Road beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending on June 30th, 2024. PIC shall pay the district a sum of $45,600 per year in 12 monthly installments of $3,800 as proposed, increase of $2,400 from $43,200. And I so move.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14C, request approval of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Private Industry Council, PIC, and Westmoreland Fayette County and the Collinsville Area School District to operate its Pre-K Counts program at Springfield Clifford M. Pritz Elementary School beginning August 1st, 2023 and ending on June 30th, 2024. PIC shall pay the district a sum of $9,495 per year in 9 monthly installments of $1,055 as proposed. It's an increase of $495 from $9,000. And I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14D, Seton Hill University. Request approval of the agreement between Seton Hill University and the Collinsville Area School District for college and high school dual credit for the 2023-2024 school year, and I so move.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14E, Renaissance Learning. Request approval to renew the agreement with Renaissance Learning for the 2023-2024 school year at a cost of $59,555.70 to be paid for from the Ready to Learn grant. And I so move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14F, algebra and geometry curriculum materials. Request approval of the 3-year agreement with Savas for Envision Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry with $65,622.03 being paid from the APR ESSER funds and $61,718.97 being paid from curriculum budget. Total cost is $127,341 for a 3-year agreement. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14G, pre-calculus curriculum materials. Request approval of a 6-year agreement with Blitzer Pre-Calculus 7E at a cost of $15,231.45. And I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request item 14H, AP Pre-Calculus curriculum materials. Request approval of the 6-year agreement for Demanda Pre-Calculus graphical and numerical algebra at a cost of $15,231.45. And I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14I, bids. Request approval to solicit bids for Tier 2 ELA support materials. And I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14J, books series disposal. Request approval to dispose of obsolete curriculum materials as listed per policy number 706.1. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14K, intermediate Unit 1 lease agreement. Request approval of the lease agreement between intermediate Unit 1 and Collinsville Area School District for its early intervention program effective July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024 at a cost of $17,100 of 12 equal installments of $1,425. Includes $525 per month for cleaning. And I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 14I, L, curriculum committee meeting. Curriculum committee meeting was held Friday, May 19th, 2023 at 9 a.m. And that's all I have. Mr. Renzi.
I have nothing, Mr. Carson.
Mr. Mongeau.
Nothing, thanks.
Dr. Coons.
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harshman. Moving to cyber, Mr. Martray.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. We have one item, cyber MOU, request approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Collinsville Area School District and the Collinsville Area Education Association for Cyber Services, July 2023 through July 2024, pending solicitor review and approval. And I so move.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Kokenar, do you have anything additional?
No, thank you.
Mr. Mongeau?
Nothing, thank
Mr. Ghost, anything? Dr. Bradley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Martray. Actually, I wanted to thank the board for approving that MOU contingent on Mr. Witt's review of it, and also thank Julie Alessandrino and CAEA for the work that we put forth to negotiate that MOU part. It was very hospitable, and it works towards the ultimate goal of keep chipping away at our outside charter, our outside cyber charter, and outside brick and mortar costs. Every little piece that we do to bring that in-house helps, and the CAA was very cooperative, and we are looking for small chunks of improvement in that program every year, and we've seen it, and we continue to see that. So thank you, and thank you for that time.
The other thing, our meeting was May 15th at 3 o'clock, and that's all we have. And so,
Thank you, Mr. Martray. Moving to federal programs, Mr. Mongel.
Thank you. Item 16A, request the approval to offer a staff professional development day supporting structured literacy and de-escalation on July 20th, 2023, with cost to be paid from Title II funds and the curriculum budget. And I so move.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all the, that we had on the agenda. Mr. Martucci, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Martray?
Nothing, thank you.
Dr. Coons? That's all we have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mongel. Moving to finance, Mr. Renzi.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. I request approval of the following donations: a Bible Club from the Central Fellowship Church for $50, from Hilltop Baptist Church, 50 Bibles, St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church, $25, CACTC Heavy Equipment Operation from Rebecca Corbin, $500, Andrew Porterfield, $400, CACT Health Occupations, CACT Cosmetology, Patty Grace, value at $275, and I so move.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the attached requisition orders and to authorize District Business Office to process orders and payments, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the resolution for the 2023-2024 proposed final budget in the amount of $85,360,209 for the Collinsville Area School District and $4,659,248 for the Collinsville Area Career and Technical Center. Resolution authorizing proposed final budget, display and advertising, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I think this last part was part of that same one. Resolved by the school board of School Directors of the Collinsville Area School District as follows. The proposed final budget of the school district and career technical center for the 2023-2024 fiscal year on Form PDE 2028 as presented to the school board shall be considered the proposed final budget of the school district for the 2023-2024 fiscal year and shall be made available for public inspection after this date. Number two, at least 10 days before the date scheduled for adoption of the final budget, the secretary shall advertise the final budget notice in substantially the form as presented to the school board. The notice shall be advertised once in a newspaper of general circulation and shall be posted conspicuously at the school district offices, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the Arizona Business Insurance Participation Agreement for the PSBA Insurance Trust School Leaders Legal Liability Risk Management Program for $33,737. Property and Casualty for $220,165. Auto for $14,779. And Excess Liability $11,441, with the broker of record being Furia Montiel and Associates for the fiscal year 2023-2024. This includes coverage for the Collinsville Area School District and Collinsville Career and Technical Center, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the group term life and AD&D insurance policy rates with Sun Life of 18 cents, 2 cents for 1,000 for the 2023-2024 school year, with the broker of record being National Insurance Services, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the workers' compensation insurance policy from UPMC Health Benefits for $159,000 $1,193, with the broker of record being Arthur J. Gallagher and Company for the 2023-2024 school year. This includes coverage for the Collinsville Area School District and Collinsville Area Career and Technical Center, and I so move.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the following donation for student scholarship. The Breakneck Fund Scholarship total of $3,648. Kira Callahan, $1,216. Ellie Krista, $1,216. And Rebecca Quare, $1,216. And I so move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And we had a budget work session held May 11, 2023 at 6 p.m. Anything you want to add, Mr. Lake?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Harrison?
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes, I do want to thank you all for your time tonight to listen to the budget presentation. I also, in addition to it being available for public inspection in our office, I will also have it available online under the finance page. So the budget will be there, and as well as I will also have the presentation that I gave tonight, that slideshow. So those will just be available on the website as an addition to on display in our office.
Very good.
Okay?
Want to add something, Dr. Bradley?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Renzi. I want to thank Mrs. Robinson and Ms. Helms for their work on the budget presentation and on the entire budget. Thank the board for their attention during the presentation. A second part, I want to apologize to the board. I forgot to inform them of an addition, and I'm hoping for support in this addition. Walmart contacted Dunbar Township Principal Jennifer Sanzone today with a donation equivalent to approximately $100 per grade level per 4 buildings in the elementary system. This was a late addition today. I wanted to inform you earlier, and with the other information that we had, I did not. I'm asking for support of that acceptance of that donation in the form of a motion. Thank you. Maybe Mr. Witt can guide us in the next steps.
So if a member of the board would want to make a motion to accept, or to add it to the agenda for consideration, to accept the donation pursuant to board policy 702, they would be able to make a motion for the board's consideration.
I so move.
Is there a second on the motion?
Motion and a second. All those in favor to add?
Add the acceptance. So approximately language, add the acceptance of the donation from Walmart to the Collinsville School District, approximate donation amount to be $100 per grade level for 4 elementary buildings.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Now you vote correct. Now you vote on the actual.
Now we need to vote on the actual acceptance. I have a motion. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all we have, Mr. Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Renton. Moving to food services, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you, Mr. Penzo. Request approval to purchase Premier Edge point-of-sale system for the food service program at an annual subscription cost of $5,565 and a one-time service fee of $1,995 for training and information. And I so.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So I have Mr. Kokener, Mr. Martray.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Knox. That's all we have, Mr. Penzo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to personnel and review and liaison. Mr. Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval for Molly Gibson, teacher, to take an unpaid leave of absence for the first semester of the 2023-2024 school year, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Kelly Island, teacher, to take an unpaid leave of absence for the first semester of the 23-24 school year, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the permanent contract for the following professional employee based upon completion of 3 years satisfactory service with the Connersville Area School District, Amy Kinnear. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request a conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following addition to the professional substitute list for the 2022-2023 school year: Madison Powell, pre-K to 4, Sarah Ellis, mathematics, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to waive the return to work after sabbatical requirements for Antoinette Dews, teacher, effective June the 1st, 2022, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the retirement of Kathleen Rich, support personnel, effective June the 1st, 2023, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the retirement of Deborah Schultz, support personnel, effective August the 5th, 2023, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the resignation of Megan Schleihoff, teacher, effective June the 2nd, 2023, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Jacqueline Johnson, support personnel, to take 10 intermittent unpaid days as requested for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Katie Sarver, support personnel, to take up to 10 intermittent unpaid days as requested for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year, and I so move.
Have a motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Connie Cumberland, support personnel, to take up to 10 intermittent unpaid days as requested for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year, and I so move.
Have a motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to pay annual invoice to Frontline Technologies, AESOP, for absence and substitute management for the 2023-2024 school year in the amount of $15,853.09 as budgeted, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of collective bargaining agreement between the Connersville Area School District and the chauffeurs, Teamsters, and helpers, Local Union 491, for a period July the 1st, 2023 through June the 30th, 2028. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the attached memorandum of understanding with the CAE SBA regarding summer rate. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Renzi, do you have anything to add? Mr. Harshman?
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Coconut? Dr. Bradley?
Thank you, Mr. Lake. Just to repeat what I said on Monday to the larger audience and the larger audience watching us at home, wanted to thank the Teamsters under the guidance and leadership of Kelly Herman and Vito Dragon, and also the board members that were on that committee that gave up their time and their evenings to come into that meeting to work for that contract with the Teamsters for our food service workers, Mr. Lake, Mrs. Sangston, Mr. Panzella, Mr. Harshman, Mr. Witt, and Mr. Trippenoff. Thank you, and that was a great example of collaboration to get that contract done, and I thank the leadership on the board for helping with that. Thank you.
That's all we have on.
That's all right. Thanks, Mr. Lake. Moving to policy and legislative, Mr. Martray.
Thank you, Mr. Panzell. 20A PSBA policy revisions. Our first reading was April 26, 2023. Request approval of the following revised policies: 137 home education programs, 137 AR0 home education program requirements, 137 AR-1 parent guardian letter, 137R-2 curriculum materials request form, 137.1, extracurricular participation by home education students. 137.1-AR-0, extracurricular participation by home education students. And 137.1, AR-1, weekly eligibility report. And I so move on those.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
These will be the first readings. These are additions. Request approval of following policy additions. 137.2, participation in co-curricular activities and academic courses by home education students. 137.2, AR-0, weekly eligibility report. 137.2, AR-1, prioritization and placement for participation in co-curricular activities and academic courses. 137.3, participation in career and technical education programs by home education students. And 137.3, AR-0, prioritization and placement of participation in career and technical education. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And 20C, we have one policy revision. This would be our first reading. Request approval of the following policy revision. 202.1, out of district student attendance. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Montiel, do you have anything additional? Mr. Harshman?
Nothing, thank you.
Dr. Bradley?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Martray. Moving to safety and security, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. We have nothing at this time. Mr. Lindsay, anything to add?
I have nothing.
Mr. Cookenheimer? Mr. Parlak?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella, that's all.
Sticking with you with special education, please.
Thanks again, Mr. Panzella. Request for an agreement between Marquis, Pennsylvania and the Collinsville Area School District to provide education services at a daily rate of $223.88, which is an increase of $20.32 per day, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the 3-year transition agreement between Head Start of Fayette County and the Collinsville Area School District effective July 1, 2023, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the adoption of Intermediate Unit 1 IDEA Part B policies and procedures as proposed, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have. Mr. Lee?
Nothing, thank you.
Mrs. Sankson?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. D'Amico?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Mr. Martucci. Moving to student services, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval of the K through 12 voluntary student accident insurance through United States Fire Insurance Company for the 23-24 school year. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request to purchase the PASS assessment tool, practically identifying and addressing social and emotional barriers to learning for 5th and 7th grade students for the Collinsville Area School District at a total cost of $1,911 paid through the ARP EASER funds. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Cookenheimer?
Yes.
Mr. Harshman?
No.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Martray?
Yes.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Mr. Mongeau?
Yes.
Mr. Renzi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sangston?
No.
And Mr. Panzella?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Request approval of the agreement between the Intermediate Union 1 and the Collinsville Area School District for educational services beginning July 1st, 23 through June 30th, 24. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for the Collinsville Area School District to participate in the Pennsylvania Youth Survey in the fall of 23-24 school year. I so move. Sorry.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Harshman?
No.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Martre?
No.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Mr. Montiel?
No.
Mr. Renzi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sangstein?
No.
Mr. Kokenauer?
Yes.
And Mr. Panzella?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Request for the agreement between Adelphi Education Services and the Connellsville Area School District for education services for the 23-24 school year at the rate below. Emotional support grades K through 8, regular / special education students is $167.56, which is an increase of $7.98 per day for the 22-23 agreement. Emotional support grades 9 through 12, regular education $96.81, which is an increase of $1.90 per day from the 22-23 agreement. Emotional support grades 9 through 12, special education $114.94, which is an increase of $10.45 per day from the 22-23 agreement. And I so move.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Requested conditional approval contingent upon success submission of screening and background checks of the following volunteer for high school marching band. Anthony Dominino. Sorry if I messed your name up. And I so move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request for the approval of up to 6 staff from the Connellsville Area School District to attend safe and supportive learning environments. Prevention Before the Crisis Summit held at the Patton Central Office on August 16th and 17th, which is paid through the Comprehensive Support Group grant through Patton. And I so move.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following travel. Jude Bourdain, Schultz, Dawn Stoner, Courtney Wiltrout, chaperones Wayne Metzner, Julia Messner, Robin Billington, Sylvia Leibline, Jody Mangus, and approximately 51 students will be participating in the Connellsville Memorial Day Parade. I have number 2, to amend the prior motion, student travel to Washington, D.C. and Gettysburg, PA, approved January 25th, 23, to provide the district to cover the substitute cost. And I so move.
Motion and a second. Is there any public comment on the second motion that was added tonight?
Just a point of clarification for everyone. So there was a motion made, what month? In January for a trip from our CAM students to Gettysburg and Washington, D.C. It was our history club under the direction of Mr. Flynn and Dr. Martin, thank you. Dr. Martin, and the board is now considering to pay for their subs, basically. So since the motion already existed, as far as Robert's Rules of Order is concerned, they can amend that motion, original motion, and they're allowing public comment on that. The report back from the chaperones and from Dr. Martin's depth of knowledge of Gettysburg in particular, the value of him being on site is very important, and his love of Gettysburg and the depth of knowledge that he has of Gettysburg is really evident when they're on site. Also, at the laying of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, our students actually participate in that ceremony, and they write an essay to participate in that ceremony, and I appreciate the board considering that motion and that addition, that amendment to the motion. Thank you. So at this point, if there's any questions or public comment on that addition to the agenda, it's allowed at this point.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the 23 driver education vehicle lease agreement between the Connellsville Area School District and T.A. Nelson Bus Line at a cost of $700 per month, effective June 23 through August 20. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Harshman.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Montiel?
Nothing, thank
Mr. D'Amico?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, that's all we have.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to technology, Mr. Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. I have nothing. Mr. Martucci?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Martray?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Ghost?
Nothing, thank you.
We have nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harshman. Moving to transportation, Mr. Kokenauer.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. 25, request approval of the following updates and additions to the bus van driver list, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Panzella. Mr. Lee.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Renzen.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Evans.
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kokenauer. With nothing under President's report, we'll move to public comment for non-agenda items. First one will be Sawney Bentley, Superintendent. Just to remind everybody on these, you have 3 minutes also.
Thank you. My name is Sonia Bentley, and I have been an employee of the school district since 2011. I have personally been and continue to be directly affected by the decisions and actions of the current superintendent, Joe Bradley, as are all employees and students of this district. We are the ones at ground zero. We need support from our school board to advocate on our behalf and steer this district in a better direction. And with that said, I would like to address a couple of Pennsylvania statutes, starting with Title 24, Section 1073.1. I'm just going to ad-lib this one. It's basically stating that there are supposed to be objective performance standards that are posted to our school site, and that there are to be annual performance reviews that are also supposed to be posted to our school site. I have not been able to find any of the objectives or the assessments as to whether or not Joe Bradley has indeed met the standards from the Board of Directors. Moving on to a different one is PA Statute 1073B, which states that at a public meeting of the school board occurring at least 90 days prior to the expiration date of the superintendent's contract, the agenda shall, expiration of the superintendent's contract. The agenda shall include an item requiring affirmative action by 5 or more directors to notify the superintendent that the board intends to retain him for the term of 3 years, or that other candidates will be considered for that office. The PA Sunshine Law ensures that the rights of the taxpayers who elected you to be informed and to publicly speak to their objections of another 3-year contract for Joseph Bradley. Our directors need to realize that there are far more taxpayers in our district than the 9 people sitting on our current board. Our school boards over the past decade have somehow turned this opportunity of being elected to be the voice of the students, parents, and taxpayers into something that seemingly has less and less to do with the students, parents, and taxpayers. We are in dire need of a change. We want representation that speaks for the betterment of our district for the majority, not only for the few within the circles of those in power. And we taxpayers are watching, and we will remember those of you up for re-election in November and those of you up for re-election in 2 years. Thank you.
Next, we have Michelle Mowry, My View.
Hi, everyone. I am Michelle Mowry, I'm a school teacher. These are my own personal opinions. On Monday night, you said that the reading program, My View, teachers were in a meeting and that their recommendations were taken and brought to you. And I know the next day after My View was voted on, I went to the school and I told, we have a new reading program, it's My View. And the teachers that were involved in that meeting that I talked to were shocked and confused that it was My View. That wasn't the one they recommended. And I didn't say anything Monday night because I wanted to make sure I wasn't misremembering anything. So I went to the school yesterday and I talked to those teachers again to make sure. And sure enough, I was not misremembering. My View was not the one that they thought was going to be presented to you. The teachers I talked to said it was the program Into. So I'm not quite sure where the miscommunication was or what was going on, but those teachers thought it was the N2 program, and they're not all that thrilled with my view because it's less on reading and more on social emotional learning, and our reading scores are down. Furthermore, I know there's at least one board member here that said he specifically asked if social emotional learning was involved in the program, and that board member was told no. That's an outright lie. It didn't take me very long at all to find the big page with the huge title that says explicit social emotional learning component. It took me longer to sign up for access to the program than it did to find that. In social emotional learning, just so you know, it's not about cuts and bruises and hungry kids. We are mandated reporters, we already do that. We do spend our own money, we do care for these kids. That's not what social emotional learning is.
2 minutes.
Thank you. Social emotional learning is the instruction of accepting cultural beliefs, religious beliefs, overall beliefs, and perceptions. I don't care if these beliefs are conservative or liberal beliefs. We as a school district and teachers and staff, we have no business teaching these kids that. To accept certain views over other views, that's the parent's job. That is not our job. We have no business telling them what's acceptable and what's not. We need to teach them writing, reading, math, science, history. That's it. So I just wanted to clear the air that there is some confusion as to what program these teachers thought was going to be presented to you, and to clear the air of what social emotional learning is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have April Martin on DT class size.
Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I am April Martin. I teach at Dunbar Township Elementary. And just a little fun fact, when I say I lead Dunbar Township Elementary, I currently teach 3rd grade in the classroom. I went there to school as a 6th grader. So my history with this building is very, very long. So before I really get into a lot of it, I did want to start off with something positive because, you know, that is important. I have been coming to liaison, I have been talking to a lot of you as a building rep and as a teacher about class sizes at Dunbar Township. This has been an ongoing problem. So as a board, you made the very difficult decision to realign. And none of us ever want to see kids uprooted. This causes a lot of heartache for a lot of families. That's not what we were looking for. But you did the right thing, in my opinion, and you finally got us some help. And we kind of celebrated a little bit on behalf of the struggle that we have had. But that celebration was very short-lived. The entire purpose of uprooting these families was to make sure that we had smaller class sizes, more resources for everyone. Well, if we do that, we kind of met our goal. We have smaller class sizes, but instead of reaping the benefits and throwing the confetti in the air and saying, touchdown, we did a good job, we now have cut teachers, shoving kids into less classrooms and skyrocketing the numbers again, completely undoing the entire reason why we're going through the heartache of realignment. So the celebration at my building was short-lived. What is the point of uprooting all these families and causing all this chaos to get the smaller class sizes if you simply cut teachers and you shove them back to 30 in a room? I don't get it. We don't get it. It's just recreating the same problem. So one of the positions that was cut was kindergarten. You can't get any more valuable kindergarten.
2 minutes.
You just can't. So you want to look at fiscal responsibility, right? Because we're not in a good way. We all understand that. So you want to save one teacher's salary for 1 year. Okay? Great. That's a great save. Good job. But what I don't think the vision that's lacking is when you shove a large number of students into these classrooms, especially little people, I mean, it's like herding cats. You guys ever visit a kindergarten room? That's tough, right? So when you look at this and you combine them and you now have 28, 30 kindergartners in a room, you know, it's challenging to say the least to meet their needs. So guess what? You might save the money 1 year on one teacher. Your special ed is going to go up through the roof. You're gonna have more referrals, you're gonna have more qualifications, your interventions that run, they should be no more than 6, 8 kids in a group. There's groups of 19 going down the hall. How effective is that? It's not. Then you take a look at our 5th grade teacher. She's highly trained in ELA. She's one of the best ELA teachers that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And that's where we're suffering right now. And we're gonna cut her and shove 30 kids in a room and then come back and wonder why our scores just aren't getting any better. I'm completely at a loss. The second goal of the realignment was to get our special education students out of closets and trailers from 1980 whatever that should have been sent to the junkyard, because they deserve the best, just like the regular kids. They deserve real classrooms. They deserve full-size classrooms. And so we're booting families out in Dunbar Township, and then we're bringing more special education programs in. And all special education students are welcome. I welcome them. But these have the most extreme needs and deserve just as much as regular ed students. They don't deserve a trailer for services. They don't deserve to have OT services in the middle of the hallway for people to see them because there's no room. It doesn't make any sense for me to boot some families out to bring more programs in if we can't offer them what they deserve. The building is full, and they deserve that. So every single person up here at one point or currently is running because you want to put students first. Put students first. Well, now is your time to show it and prove it. Please do not cut the class sizes. You're undoing the whole purpose of the realignment if you let that happen. Please let us have what you worked so hard for and what you've taken so much slack for through the alignment. Let us have the victory. The students should come first. Thank you.
That's all we had for non-agenda items. Moving to assistance to superintendent.
I have nothing, thank you.
Dr. Bradley.
Thank you, President Panzella. Today we had an opportunity to participate with our CTC and our Connellsville Area High School students with their senior awards ceremony and their senior awards assembly in this building. And I wanted to congratulate those seniors. The awards assembly was very well attended, very respectful, and it was very celebratory. I also wanted to, knowing that we do not have another board meeting before graduation, I wanted to wish all the graduates at this venue the best of luck, and we look forward to the graduation ceremony and the fun that entails. Congratulations, graduates.
Thank you. Mr. Martre?
Yeah, I'd just like to take time to thank, well, it's not working. Just like to take time to thank Just like to take a couple of minutes here just to thank our retirees this evening for their years of service in the district, and also wish them a happy retirement. And this past week I went down the other evening to the CAMS building and watched their spring concert. I'll tell you, what a great concert. What a great concert. I'd just like to thank Mr. Haynes for all his work with students and all the talent that's there. It's really come along real well. And one other thing, Mr. Kirsch, if you would please, on that swimming pool, the specification, would you get a copy of Dr. Bradley for all of us board members so we can see exactly what we're dealing with? That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Panzella, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the meeting, were the wrestling thing, is that on the agenda?
Yes. Oh, the presentation.
Was that on the agenda? It was just a presentation.
No, it's just a presentation.
Okay, my question to you is, you had said at the very beginning when they were coming up there, that they didn't have a time limit, but yet every single, and this is all, with all due respect.
No, public comments have, not the presentations. We didn't give anything to the presentations, to Ms. Huffman, to the military, or to Sri Routson.
But that was on the agenda, the wrestling thing was on the agenda?
As a presentation. No, it was not on the agenda, but it doesn't need to be.
So to clarify, there's two categories of information that can be provided to the board. One would be presentations that are at the formal request of the board in connection with the request of the board. Those do not have to be on the agenda. Those won't require any board action. So it's just information that's being presented to the board of particular interest to the board based on some sort of ongoing project or some sort of ongoing student activity, as we saw tonight, or the budget. Obviously, that's a big item. The other piece would be, the other category would be public comment, either on agenda items or on non-agenda items, and those would be any member of the public could sign up to provide public comment. Those portions would be the ones that are subject to the 3-minute rule. We just ask not that people with public comment be added to the agenda, that they just sign up so we know to call them when it's their time for public comment, either for non-agenda items or agenda items.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yep.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Dr. Coons, could I see you a minute, please?